Hey, Lindsey,
Yeah, Christy.
what kind of socks does a gardener wear?
I don't know.
Garden hose.
Okay, I should have seen that coming.
As in bad? Hi, I'm Christy, a backyard gardener from Colorado. These days, gardening has gotten very popular, and my friends and I have noticed more and more people picking our brains for tips and troubleshooting about gardening. We're not experts. We just learned a lot about gardening from the mistakes we made along the way. So welcome to Upside Down Tulips, a fun podcast that celebrates gardening gone wrong.
Upside Down Tulips.
Hello, gardeners.
And wannabe gardeners.
And people who love native plants.
Oh, you're in the right place.
And welcome back, Lindsey.
Thank you very much.
We're
Lovely to be here.
It's great to have you to talk about native plants this week.
Yes, I'm excited for this one.
I gotta say, I'm surprised we haven't done this topic before.
It seems like such a natch. I don't know why it hasn't come up before, but it didn't occur to me.
Yeah. And it was so fun to work on.
Oh, yeah.
So.
I learned a lot. I learned how much how many native plants I don't have in my garden. Could stand to improve a little, but I'm gonna.
Well, folks, you're going to hear all about native plants in a little bit, but first we want to tell people that July 8th is National Blueberry Day.
Is it? That's a good day.
I wish we could grow blueberries in Colorado.
Yeah, there's some wild ones, aren't there?
Well, I think they like a more acidic soil than we have out here.
Oh, well, that's hard to come by around these parts.
Yeah.
As I know only too well.
Well, those folks who do have blueberries, July 10th is Pick a Blueberry Day.
Invite me. I'll pick them and I'll even let you have some of them.
Nice. And July 16th, Fresh Spinach Day.
Oh, I'm not going to be able to celebrate that one.
Why not?
Because my spinach is only 2 inches tall.
Oh.
And it's been that way since I planted it
oh dear,
weeks and weeks ago.
You can have the tiniest little salad.
I will. I'm going to make one of those little hamster-sized salads.
I wish I knew how great fresh spinach was when I was a kid, because all I knew that spinach was the stuff that came canned that was served at school lunches.
Like the slop.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved the slop myself, which is so weird, I know, but I did. But I'll just have to imagine what fresh spinach right out of the garden tastes like, because I'm not going to know.
Well, I can't celebrate Fresh Spinach Day either, Lindsey.
No? Oh, why not?
Well, I'm going to tell you a little story about what happened in Christy's garden this week.
Oh, okay.
So I work downtown Denver, which is maybe like 4 miles away from my house.
Mm-hmm.
And we could see the clouds sort of appearing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it rained. And it hailed a little bit, but no big deal. And then I walked over to a stage reading. And folks, this is a really great activity if you ever get a chance to do one. It's where actors are at music stands and they read the play out loud, almost kind of like a radio play or like listening to a podcast in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really wonderful. In fact, there were a lot of folks surrounding Upside Down Tulips there.
Oh, no kidding.
Edith was there. Johnny Hardscribble was there. Emma, who plays the Yard Nazi.
Oh, yes. She's
Jason,
so great at that.
Who does I'm a Boil. Josh and Jim, who do our Succession parodies. And Michael Morgan, who essentially was playing like every male voice for the first year of the podcast.
It's like a real who's who of Upside Down Tulips.
It was. Well, when I walked in the room, all of a sudden people had this like deathly look on their face. And Edith came up to me and she goes, "Christy, have you been home?"
Uh-oh.
And I went, "No, what happened?" And everybody who lived in my neighborhood said, "Be prepared."
Oh.
That there was a huge hailstorm.
Oh, no.
And Lindsey, I was like, yeah, that probably wasn't that bad. Things bounce back, It's okay if you get hail in June and, it's going to be fine. And that was June 29th.
Oh, I'm guessing it wasn't fine.
Lindsey, my vegetable garden looks like a chopped salad.
Oh, no.
Everything is gone.
No.
The tomato plants have been stripped. The hail I had green tomatoes on it, and the hail hit the green tomatoes and smushed the tomatoes.
Oh my gosh.
The lettuce is all gone. I had sunflowers in there that have just been decimated. I don't even know what happened to
Oh,
them.
my no.
Broccoli, gone. Cabbage, gone. There are a couple of stray pepper plants that are okay. And then the flowers, of course, are just all just stripped. The so much hit the trees that my gravel driveway looked green.
Oh my goodness, you just stripped them all down.
All the leaves on the trees are all gone. You could just kind of tell like what was protected by the house and what wasn't. I have bushes it looks like early spring.
Oh no, Christy, I'm so
It
sorry.
it was so terrible.
So disappointing.
I think I'm still kind of a little bit of shock about it. So anyway, I lost everything.
Oh,
a huge
gosh.
mess.
Sickening.
I got to clean it all up, and I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that some things might come back and replant. And I did some like emergency tomato plant shopping so I can throw some tomatoes plants. But here's the other tricky part, Lindsay, is that 2 weeks ago I got talked into having my yard and garden be a part of the Wheat Ridge garden tour.
Oh no! Why all these? Why?
So I'm gonna have a bunch of people come in and like look at the garden and
just be like, look at my grief, see the heartbreak, mourn with me.
Maybe they will be happy. But the woman from the garden tour came by after all of this and said, just wanted to come by and take some pictures of your garden for the brochure. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Look at this. And she's like, well, maybe it'll come back. And I go like, yeah, these tomato plants are not coming back. That's not. You know what I'm going to have to do, Lindsay?
What?
I'm just going to have to buy a bunch of annuals.
Well, your garden will be beautiful.
Thanks.
With all of those annuals. You might be surprised too. Some herbs and things are surprisingly resilient.
Some things look like they might be okay, but I would say like 80% of it is trash.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
It's so sad.
my heart just breaks for you.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
Well, enough about me, Lindsay. How's your garden doing?
I feel like there's nothing I can say.
You better not complain about anything.
I know. I was going to complain about a little bit, like my too small spinach, but now I think I won't. I just, oh my gosh. Well, it's going okay.
Good.
The beans are up and doing and flowering a bunch.
Nice.
My tomatoes the Cherokee purple is very small and is staying small for some reason, but the others are doing something.
Oh, good.
But the sun gold is not a complaint. Caveat.
Okay, right.
It's got these yellowing leaves.
Oh, sure.
And I took
pinch them off.
I've been pinching them off, but they don't look diseased.
Okay.
But they're got these bright yellow spots. I took a picture and sent it to somebody at one of our local nurseries.
Bright yellow spots sounds like a fungus.
Yeah, she said she thought it was maybe just too much water.
That could be true.
And
that could also be true.
I don't know what to do about that because it's a rainy season in Denver, still really rainy. So
which we shouldn't complain.
No, we shouldn't.
We sure needed the water, but
yeah. So I'm playing around with like how to fertilize it, give it enough calcium. I don't know what all it needs, but that's doing pretty well. And I think that our topic is well placed because the front is the soil every time it rains, which is constantly now the soil from the slope in front just washes down onto the sidewalk because I pulled all the weeds out. It was just a giant weed bed, and I have planted things like alyssum and impatiens and vinca and all these things to try to make it pretty, but like hold it down that way. And
smart.
It's not been quite enough. So I just am constantly scooping dirt off the sidewalk and chucking it back up into the slope, and it just washes down again.
Oh.
And I think that I might need some native plantage.
You might need native plants
to the rescue. I think that might be the way to go. So
good.
That's how it's going.
What about your little rosemary plant? Did you decide to repot it?
I did. I repotted it. It's doing great. And I've taken 2 little cuttings off of it and put them in some seed starter just to have like some backups, and those seem to be doing all right too.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I might get a few rosemary plants out of this. Maybe I can gift them to somebody.
You have the magic touch for it.
Well, I don't know if I can. I might be the magic luck for it, but I'm really pleased so far.
And I will say this, my rosemary plant is alive.
Oh
It
yeah,
was protected underneath the tree.
that's good.
Underneath a lot of leaves.
Uh-huh.
I found it. There it was.
Oh, I'm so
Happy and
glad.
green,
I'm so glad that there's that. You
Ah.
have a really robust rosemary. That rosemary is alive and kicking.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay to our rosemary.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Bless them both.
Well, friends, if there are words or terms that you don't understand, all you need to do is check out the always funny and sometimes informative Upside Down Dictionary, which is at upsidedowntulips.com.
Yeah, check it out. It's a good
We-
one. It's a good resource.
We have also things on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. If you want to see pictures of my shredded garden,
Oh.
you can go to our Facebook page.
I'm just sick about it.
Yeah.
I just feel sick
I know.
about it.
Oh, and thanks so much to our garden party members. We are so grateful for you. Because of you, we get to keep doing this podcast.
Yeah,
Well, like Lindsey, you're a member of the garden party. Thank you so much.
you betcha.
Um,
My privilege.
And that just means that you are a member of Upside Down Tulips. You throw us a couple bucks each month so that we can offset the expenses of what it takes to produce a podcast. And also in exchange, we give you some nice gifts and rewards like seeds from our gardens or some fun merch with the Upside Down Tulips logo. And if you want to do that, you always think, you know what, I've always thought I should do that. But then I always forget, well, now's the time to just
This
go
is
down
it.
to the show notes and click on that link.
This is the time. Clink on the link.
Very good. And, you know what I think we need right now is we need something funny.
Oh yes, we do. We do. Got to lighten the mood.
So just for gardeners, we have our handcrafted pod plays. The Mission Impossible movie is opening up next week.
I didn't even know that.
This is Mission Impossible, like number 4 or 5, something like that.
Those missions didn't seem so impossible after all, I guess. I guess they
Right.
worked out okay.
So what if there was a Mission Impossible for the gardener?
Yeah.
Please enjoy Aeration Implausible.
Clap, 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 clap.
Upside Down Tulips is brought to you by
Identify.
Agent Ethel Gather.
Agent confirmed.
Agent Gather, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to restore life to a neglected garden suffering from compacted soil. You must infiltrate the yard, aerate it covertly, and rejuvenate it into a lush paradise.
What happens if I say no? Do we all just die?
Just do it, okay? This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Okay, let's break this down, folks. Miller Moth, you are in center position on the roof.
I've got my eyes in the sky.
Aphid, you're the guy at the laptop who times things.
Don't let the computer bugs bite.
Fiona, you're the one with the foreign accent.
Righty-o, matey.
And here's where I come in. I need the most advanced aeration equipment on the market, capable of penetrating even the toughest soil.
Don't get your knickers in a twist, Ethel. Meet the Silent Spike Master 3000 Aerator. It will penetrate soil silently, as if the plants themselves approved.
Time to aerate this garden and bring it back to life. Operation Deep Breathing is a go.
The gardener is coming home in 30 seconds, Ethel.
Just need to activate the Silent Spike Master 3000 aerator. Glide across the garden like a shadow, leaving a trail of neatly spaced holes in my wake.
3 seconds, Ethel.
The countdown is not helping, Aphid.
1 second, Ethel.
So all that just took 1 second, huh? And done. Mission accomplished.
Excusez-moi, not so fast, Ethel.
You're not Fiona, the one with the foreign accent.
That's right. Underneath this Scooby-Doo mask, I am that rogue agent turned pesticide dealer, and I am here to pin all my pesticide crimes on you.
Well, rogue agent, meet the Silent Spike Master 3000. Looks like I have to run. Okay, that's enough. Whew, I should not skip leg day. And now get on this lawnmower. And jump onto this rototiller. And then use this weed whacker to propel myself over the fence onto this waiting helicopter. Right on time, Miller Moth.
Mission accomplished.
What's done is done when I say it's done. Okay, mission accomplished. Oofta, I gotta start getting someone else to do these stunts.
My garden is beautiful, with rich, fertile, properly draining soil and full, healthy plants with an adequate exchange of water and oxygen within the spaces between soil particles.
Upside Down Tulips is brought to you by the Silent Spike Master 3000 for all your gardening and implausible aeration needs. Okay, Corrections Corner.
Oh?
Just found out from our excellent and enigmatic engineer, there have been, this is the 7th Mission Impossible movie. with
So
Tom
many
Cruise.
missions. I would say they were missions that worked out okay, is what they should call them. But that doesn't seem
I
as
know.
exciting. This is why I don't market movies, but that would be my suggestion.
You know, Tom Cruise must have such expensive insurance because he does all those stunts.
He must. There must be a company that was created just to insure him.
Yeah, that's right.
His own.
His deductible must be huge.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, native plants. Before
Yeah.
we decided to talk about this topic, Lindsay, I have to confess, I didn't really understand what a native plant was.
I think I kind of knew, but I don't think I really had a very good idea of it, or I didn't know what I thought I knew. I didn't know as much as I thought I knew.
Well, this is what we know now.
Okay.
Native plants are plants that evolved over hundreds or thousands of years in your area.
Right.
They grew naturally in your area before humans began to bring in outside plants to grow and farm. And these native plants adapted to the climate and the cultural conditions of your area and became part of the ecosystem. So plants may be native to North America, but not necessarily to every state in the United States.
Right. A lot of different climate and ecosystems in this country.
Such a great point, because a plant that is like native to an area of Maine, but not near Portland, Oregon, would always be native to New England, but not to the United States.
Right. That makes sense.
So what's so great about native plants? Why should we have them?
So many things. This was really interesting to dig into. I liked learning about this a lot. And some of it I knew and some of it I didn't. They take a lot less work and resources from you yourself as a gardener. They've adapted to your local climate, to your soil conditions. They have a symbiotic relationship with the local critters and insects and pollinators. So they're just ready to like be in the soil that we have already and to thrive there.
As opposed to, getting some plant that's not native, that's going to take a while to acclimate or just always be unhappy.
Yeah. Or it's going to take a lot of fertilizer. It's going to take the pesticides. It's going to take the herbicides, whatever it is that's going to, and a lot of work and maybe even a lot more water.
It's certainly true in our neck of the woods. Here we are in the West, when all we do is collect and worry about water.
Oh my gosh. It's so true. Even with massive amounts of rain and hail, it's still something we think about and talk about all the time.
It's a mistake I made as an early gardener because I was always thinking about I would love to have hydrangeas, as folks know. And hydrangeas are not native to Colorado, and they're not a native plant. They're not acclimated. And so I spent a lot of money buying hydrangea plants, and the plant was just unhappy.
Oh.
And I would never water it enough, and they would always die. And you go like $30.
Gosh, yeah, those are expensive.
For a hydrangea plant. And so finally I just had to accept the fact that I cannot grow hydrangeas. But now I have more native plants in my yard.
That makes so much sense. It's heartbreaking when you keep you work so hard for something and then you just can't make it thrive where you want it to be. But sometimes you got to work smarter, not harder.
That's nice. That's a t-shirt.
It's a something. We have and this is a big one. It's something that I'm learning from. It prevents soil erosion.
Oh, to your point from earlier.
Yeah. they tend to have these really deep roots that store water. They use less water. They're really good at sequestering and holding carbon out of the air.
Wow.
And they also hold down the dirt.
Uh-huh.
And
And I guess that makes sense because if native plants like the soil that they are in, they will have their roots will go deeper into whatever soil you have. Around now, my yard is kind of a mixture of some parts, but it's mostly clay, a lot of clay. And so if you have a plant that can really loves that clay, gets in there, will hold the soil in, prevent erosion.
Yeah, I really need to get some native plants in the front slope in front of my place because I did a kind of a bit of a rookie mistake, I guess. I took out all these weeds that were ugly, but they were holding the dirt down. And like the Dust Bowl back in the 30s was because farmers, settlers came in and they plowed up all of these native prairie grasses with these really deep roots that were holding the topsoil down. And then when there was a drought and those crops wouldn't grow, there was no native anything to hold it down, and it just blew the hell and back.
We need to learn the lessons of the Dust Bowl.
Learn the lessons of the Dust Bowl, my friends. The Dust Bowl and the Lindseys. Mine is a little less intensive than that, but I thought that was really interesting. Like, really changed local ecology of like across whole states completely, and it just had a catastrophic effect. So this is one of the ways to not do that.
Well, in talking about weather and about my garden that just got devastated by hail, and I said like 80% of it is gone. You know what? 20% is still there.
Is it the native plants?
It is my native plants.
Okay.
And this I thought was so fascinating that native plants are more resistant to local weather.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, of course.
So, like if you live near an ocean and experience frequent hurricanes, salt-tolerant native plants are more likely to survive the high winds and salt spray than non-native plants that have never needed to adapt to such conditions.
Yeah, it's like bringing something in from the outside, and it's basically defenseless against whatever weird stuff your own local climate is going to throw at it. In Colorado's case, wind, rain, hail, and then drought, and then back again.
And what are the plants that are out there right now in my garden that are doing okay?
Yeah.
Agastaki, also known as hyssop plants.
Okay.
My echinacea is okay.
Good.
My catmint has been trounced, but it's going to come back for another bloom.
Okay.
I know it is.
Is catmint native to Colorado?
I think it's native-ish. The other thing I learned about native plants is that they are rarely invasive.
Oh, that's interesting.
That they tend to be well behaved in the garden because they've evolved within the community. And so they have natural predators that keep them in check. It may be hard to know if a plant that was developed in like zone 4 will become invasive in zone 6 where we live.
Right. And that's something that gardeners talk about constantly. You want this plant or that plant, can you put it in the ground, or does it have to be in a pot, or do you have to constantly be worrying about, is it going to seed everywhere and go crazy?
Right. I know. And a side note, people ask me that all the time. I go, you know what I do when plants are invasive? I give them away. And I just keep track of them, or I put them in the compost bin and they become part of my garden in a different way. But to your point earlier, it takes more work.
Yeah. To
keep your eye on them, to dig them up, etc. So, one plant I think that I see can be very invasive is English ivy, which is this beautiful vine, that just makes you think of like being in a quaint English cottage.
I love ivy. I do love it.
But it can be a real pain in the yard, and it can overtake your vulnerable plants if you let it. So,
yeah, that's a really good point. So they're great for so many things. There was a list of like 12 or 16 different reasons that native plants were so good. I feel like we've just scratched the surface.
Well, I got another one.
Oh, good. Hit me.
Well, everyone is concerned about pollinators.
Yes, for a good reason.
And the more native plants you have, the more your native pollinators, like you said, that symbiotic relationship, they work together. Birds, bees, butterflies use these native plants for food, for shelter, for nesting. And there are certain butterflies and native flowering plants that evolved together and are codependent, like the monarch butterfly and milkweed.
Oh, I think that's so interesting that they came up together, evolved together.
And I would also just add, I think they're beautiful.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
It's not like you're just planting a bunch of grasses
No.
in your yard. These are plants that have been here the whole time, kind of like underneath our noses. And, something else might grab our attention, like a hybrid rose or, a beautiful lily, which those are great plants.
They are.
But these garden favorites that have been here are still also very beautiful plants.
There's such an array of it's a palette of colors and textures and the scents. It's like walking in the mountains and you see those meadows with all those wildflowers and you're like, oh my gosh.
The super bloom in California.
Yeah. Oh my God. How do you top that? They're so gorgeous. And you're like, because they're so happy right here. This is where they were meant to be and they're doing it. They're doing their job.
Well, when we come back, let's talk about how folks can find out where they can find their native plants.
Yeah.
Well, then let's talk about what native plants are in our yard.
Sounds
what
good.
native plants we want in our yard.
The dream, the
That's
native
right.
plant dream that I have now.
Yeah.
The vision.
But first, how about an ode to hail?
I think that's a real nice gesture on your part, Christy. It's a real nice gesture.
An ode to hail, where hail did fall upon my garden's bloom. Where hail did fall upon my garden's bloom, in cold descent with a thunderous boom, it swept through my haven both fierce and bold, leaving destruction a story to be told.
Hailstones danced upon the once green ground, pounding the earth with a relentless sound, as if nature, with its icy hand, had painted chaos across this land.
The flowers, once vibrant, now bowed and frail, their petals wounded as if telling a tale. The delicate stems, once reaching high, now bent and broken beneath the sky.
But amidst this wreckage, a whispering voice, a silent resilience, a quiet choice. For in the heart of each broken stem lies the essence of strength, an unyielding gem.
The gardener, undeterred by nature's blow, gathers the pieces with a spirit aglow. With tender care and a determined hand, they rebuild the garden where beauty will stand.
For in the wake of hail's cruel descent, a lesson emerges, like nature's intent. But even when storms rattle and shake, life finds a way, its spirit awake.
And as the seasons turn, as they always will, the garden revives, its purpose fulfilled. New buds emerge with resilience unfurled, a testament to nature's enduring world.
So let us not mourn what hail has undone, but embrace the dance of a life that's begun. For in every setback, a chance to grow, to nurture the garden, to let beauty show.
So have you had any hail damage in your garden this year?
We have had very minor hail damage. There's some holes in some of the leaves, but for whatever reason, wherever we are is in a little pocket where the hail has managed not to hammer us yet. And I feel like it's hubris to be putting that out there in the universe. And now it's going to come for me. But so far, so good. But now I feel just terrible saying that to anybody who lives around this neck of the woods because woof.
Well, I think I've been pretty lucky. I don't think I've had I've never had a serious hail storm this late in the season.
Yeah.
Since I've lived in Colorado, so for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
I think this is the worst I've ever seen. I've had little hail in May, early June, and it's all been fine because nothing's been big enough. But this has obviously been the most devastating in 20 years. So I guess we were kind of due.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm glad you dodged it for as long as you did, but it does, being the late in the season does feel like it stings a bit.
Yeah, I know.
In particular. And other places I've lived in this area before have really been hit hard, and for whatever reason this year.
Yeah, and I should say that we did get a really big hailstorm once, but it was in March, so it didn't matter.
Oh,
so
yeah.
much. But we had billiard-size hail.
That sounds terrifying.
The palm of your hand. Everybody in the neighborhood got a new roof that summer. All summer long, you heard that tick, 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 tick,
Yeah.
tick of people getting new roofs. And then everybody's cars got poked with nails and had to get their new tires.
Oh, no.
That was the summer of roofing and
new tires. Yeah.
tires.
People in Red Rocks, so several people got sent to the hospital
Right.
recently.
Yes, and that was big. This hail
Mhm.
that fell on my house was like just a lot of like small marble size hail. But that hail it would almost look like it was like just shy of tennis ball, didn't it?
Yeah, it looked like huge and dangerous.
Not
It's
tennis ball. No, that's way too big.
like
Golf ball. Thank you.
Tennis ball would be that would be impressive hail. But it doesn't even still smaller than that. So dangerous. And we live with it. And sometimes it even gets a little owed because it is part of what we live with here.
Yes, so true. Well, let's look toward the future.
Yeah, let's do.
And folks who want to get native garden plants, you can probably, go on the Google and look at all the tubes in the internets and find out. But here are some quick resources. Let us help you in your search,
Let us
shall
help
we?
you.
Well, the easiest place to start, friends, is your local cooperative extension.
Mm-hmm.
They should be able to provide you, or at least point you to a native plant list in your area.
Yeah.
And those people live for that.
Yeah. And it'll be a good reliable one too.
There are some small native plant nurseries that are starting to pop up everywhere. And these nurseries are a great source for native plants as well as for gardening information specific to your area. So if you go to plantnative.org, that has a state-by-state listing of native plant nurseries that you can go to.
Oh, I love that. That's a great resource. And you can really kind of choose which area you're in. You can get it real localized.
And then we should also say, though, just make sure that you get your native plants from a reputable source.
Mm-hmm.
It'll help protect endangered species that can be illegally harvested in the wild, and well as ensuring that you are getting the plant you want and not an imposter.
Right. Because things can have the same name and look similar, but not be quite the right subspecies.
Mhm.
I don't think I'm saying that correctly. And not be the same thing.
Yeah. Well, there could be a lot of jerks out there.
Yeah, there sure can.
I have to say that, like, one of the native plants I would really love to get is called let me find it here. Oh, it's called a Rocky Mountain penstemon.
Oh, yeah.
And
I've
so
seen those.
it's a beard tongue, and it's kind of bluish purpley. But if you look really close at it, it almost looks a little bit like creeping bellflower, which is the weed I hate most in the world.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So you should be careful about what you're getting.
Yeah, you could get, and then all of a sudden it is invasive because it's not what you thought that it was.
Right. Another great place to go to is wildflower.org.
Okay.
And this is an organization that's from the Ladybird Wildflower Association. I don't know if you knew this, but First Lady Lady Bird Johnson was very big into wildflowers, and she was all about beautifying America and wanted people as they were driving on the highway to throw wildflowers out their window, I guess, or something like that.
No, I did not. I've never heard this.
Yeah, I think her whole thing was like Make America Beautiful campaign.
Huh.
And so if you go to wildflower.org, they also have a list of plants that are native to North America, but you could also zero in on your own local community and habitat on which ones you should have.
Nice.
And another collection to consider is that some native plants have been hybridized or bred with native attributes that improve certain plant qualities, such as extended bloom periods or size or bloom color.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are referred to as navatars or hybridized native plants.
Okay.
And so examples of this would be all the echinacea plants that are out there right now, which is native. It's native to North America, but they have been hybridized to have different colors. That's why there are like 700 different types of echinacea, also known as coneflower plants. Also different types of agastaki, also known as hyssop. There are lots of different kinds of those out there, which I have in my garden too. So they're kind of natural like.
Yeah, they're like they're like
Native
they're
like.
native adjacent in a way.
Yeah,
They're
but
not
you know, that
quite
works
the
too.
same, but
So you said you have one native plant in your yard.
yes, I was looking. I was like, yes, what are the natives that I've got? And I don't have. I was ashamed. I thought I had none because I've planted none, as it turns out. But I do have an Oregon grape.
Oh.
A creeping Oregon grape in the front of my yard. That is
It's a grapevine?
It's not actually. It looks almost like a holly. It's got like yellow flowers and these like sort of like purple berries. It's like a shrub.
Okay.
And I don't know why it is called an Oregon grape at all, but
Okay.
I have that. That is native. That is doing
To Colorado,
pretty well.
even though it's a Oregon grape.
Correct.
Somebody was weird in the branding there.
Yeah,
but
which is
okay.
very confusing. But that's the one I've got. There's now that I've researched it, there's so many that I want. And
Okay, well, what do you want?
Okay.
Okay, dream
so
time.
many. I really would like some yarrow.
I have yarrow.
Yeah.
And again, this is a plant that people consider to be invasive. I
Mhm.
was giving it away for a very long time, and now I'm very low on yarrow. But my favorite is called moonshine.
What
It's
color
like
is that?
it's like a lemon yellow. It's just bright, bright, bright.
yes.
And I gotta tell you this, it's still out there. It's a little squished from my hailstorm,
Mhm.
Lindsay, but it is there, and
I
it's
bet it
going to make
rebounds.
it.
Yeah.
I also love another kind too. It's called paprika yarrow.
Oh, I've seen that's like a bright red.
Bright red, but it starts
Beautiful.
off by it changes color as it's blooming. So it'll kind of start off as being pink, and then it'll turn red, and then it'll turn pink again.
Okay, I think that's the kind I want. That sounds beautiful. We've got a spot that's just opened up next to our garage like wall because of all this construction. They cleared a bunch of stuff out, but now it's primed.
Nice.
It wants to be back there. I'll put some columbines in.
I also have columbine. I have a couple different kinds. Of course, the one that's most native to this region is the Rocky Mountain columbine,
Mhm.
which is, the state flower of Colorado.
Yeah, for a reason. Why don't I have it in my garden? I
Yeah.
don't know.
It can be kind of hard to germinate columbine.
Okay, can it?
I have it in two different ways. Once I just bought a plant and stuck it in, and it comes back every year, even though I have heard that columbines are biannual. So I don't know if this plant is reseeding itself. But I've also very successfully winter sowed it.
Have you? Okay, I might try that. My winter sowing this year has only been like moderately successful as far as the flowers go. The
Mhm.
veg has done pretty well. The flowers have been meh.
Well, if you want a
So-
winter sow columbine, do it in January, February.
Okay.
It really needs to sit out. And folks, if you don't know what winter sowing is, it is a outdoor method of seed starting that you do in the winter, which sounds crazy, but you do it in recyclable materials like milk jugs or soda pop bottles or things
Mhm.
like that.
I'm going to try it this year with columbine. Well, this coming year, I suppose.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
And then there's edibles that I want. I was like, because I want to be able to eat everything that I grow. So I might try some wild asparagus.
Ooh,
Wild,
that sounds fun.
yeah, right. Wild onion.
Mm.
Did you know prickly pears are wholly edible and are native to Colorado?
I've seen people have those in their yard, and I
Yeah.
think they are beautiful.
Yeah, it hasn't occurred to me to do it, but maybe I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Oh, I can actually think of one more native plant that I do have that is entirely edible, tip to tail. Dandelions. They're apparently, I've never eaten one, but apparently they're highly edible. Some people love them. And so maybe I'll just let a couple of those hang out.
I have had the leaves before, and they are good.
Are they?
Yeah, they are good. Yeah,
All right,
but
maybe
mostly
I'll
I
give it
just
a go.
yank them.
Yeah, I know. Well, they're readily available. I feel like we will never be at a lack for them. So
Right?
I think it's
I know.
okay.
Well, I also have
Mhm.
that's native. I have a Rocky Mountain maple.
Oh, yes, the trees. Those are so, so beautiful.
And I got it because I was hoping it would be this beautiful red aflame in the fall.
is
right?
it not?
I've had it for 10 years, and maybe 1 year it did it. I don't know. I think maybe it's the soil conditions, or if I'm not watering it enough, though it's supposed to be a fairly drought tolerant
Yeah.
tree. But I also have a choke cherry, which is native to Colorado.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
Which is a great 4-season interest tree.
Mhm.
It has beautiful white blossoms in the spring that smell like heaven.
Oh,
And then
yes.
all the leaves turn burgundy. So it's burgundy tree, and then it has berries that the robins will eat. And if you are really industrious, you can go pick them. They're the tiniest little berry with a very big seed. So I'm not really quite sure how many I need to make some jam
or something. But it's
right.
a thing. People have been eating choke cherries for hundreds of years.
But don't eat the seed because they're poisonous.
Oh, the seeds are poisonous.
Yeah, we found that out from a listener who wrote to us a mailbag last year. So don't eat the seed.
Okay, that's important knowledge. Thank you, mailbag listener.
Yeah. And I also have butterfly weed, which is native to Colorado. This is, of course, a form of the milkweed family.
Yeah, butterfly weed's so pretty.
Mine is orange.
Oh, I love that. I love orange flowers.
I have successfully winter sowed it also. And this is one of those plants that has those parachute type seeds. So it has a seed pod. And when the pod opens, then all these fluffy things. So they're very hard to collect and very hard to plant because they're just, it's like opening up a pillowcase with goose down in it.
But so exciting in the garden when it opens.
And I also want to give a shout out to buffalo grass, which I have in my lawn, larkspur, which is a Colorado plant, Mexican hat.
Oh, yes, I do want some Mexican
I'll give you some seed.
Oh, wonderful.
Winter sows beautifully.
Oh, I love that.
Black-eyed Susan.
Yeah, beautiful.
I also have penstemon, lots of echinacea and agastaki, as we've already talked about. And my dream, in addition to getting Rocky Mountain penstemon, is I would love to get Denver gold columbine.
Oh.
Which is a beautiful yellow columbine flower.
That sounds beautiful. I don't know that I've ever seen too much yellow columbine. You see a lot of purple.
So you get the state flower, and I'll get Denver gold.
All right, that sounds good.
That'll be our goal.
We'll be doing
and we hope you folks, please tell us what native plants you have, what native plants you want, and plant some native plants in your yard.
Oh, yeah. When we love to hear about it.
Yeah, let us know. You know, it must be time for something. I can't think of what it is.
What could that be? I think, I know what it is.
What?
It's mailbag.
Ring, ring.
So for this one, what we've got is we have a letter from our dear friend of Upside Down Tulips and sometimes guest host, Catherine.
Catherine.
So happy to hear from you. Okay, Catherine. This is what Catherine has to say. No dig beds update.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm. You have to keep putting down compost for the magic in the soil to thrive. Think of compost as the never-ending buffet. Yeah, it's a good analogy. I found a couple of places in my no-dig beds created last summer that I could not dig in. The shovel wouldn't go in. Yes, I was trying to plant something with a big root system. Anyway, I realized I needed to keep presenting a buffet for the creatures in the soil. So she put down more compost and will wait for the fall to figure out when to dig next. But keep feeding that soil.
That is a great point.
That's a really good I don't know that I would have thought of that. You really need to keep feeding the organisms. Otherwise, they stop doing their work.
And I have not planted my no-dig bed. Isn't it great that I haven't done that yet?
It really is.
Because I didn't, nothing died. And so I'm going to go do that after I clean up my garden. Is I can plant in my no-dig bed in the front, and it'll be beautiful.
It will be. It's a really lovely shape already. It looks great. I can visualize what it's going to look like, and it's going to be great. And this is a good practice in not getting attached to things. Sometimes we do the things for the practice. We want the result, but you can't guarantee the result.
Yeah.
You can only guarantee the practice of doing it.
Oh,
And so,
that's nice.
yeah, well, here we are faced with those sorts of lessons and reminders all the time, whether we want them or not.
And keep putting down compost.
And keep putting down compost for it. That's a good reminder, Catherine. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. I'm going to put more compost on my no-dig bed next weekend. And we appreciate your update. We hope other folks will write in and give us updates on how their gardens are going.
Yeah, we look forward to hearing about it.
Is your spinach 2 inches tall?
If it's not, tell me what you did. I don't understand what I'm doing.
Did you get hail? Will you please commiserate with me?
Yeah.
Could use some hail buddies.
Yeah, we could, I'm sure that there's a lot of hail buddies around these parts right now.
Yeah. And do you have native plants?
Yeah, tell us how they're doing.
How could people write to us? Well, you could write to us at upsidedowntulips.com or at upsidedowntulips@gmail.com.
Christy, I believe that you might have some inspiration for us today.
Well, I sure need some.
Yeah,
I hope this is helpful. This is from the wonderful gardener, Jerry Baker. Successful gardening is doing what has to be done, when it has to be done, the way it ought to be done, whether you want to do it or not.
Yep. That's probably true about many things in life, gardening
Yes.
included. That's a good one.
Good. Yes, and so that's why I'm going to be cleaning up after the hail damage right now so that I can plant a new garden.
That's right. And then who knows what wonderful new natives you might include.
Well, guess what? You've reached the end of another episode of Upside Down Tulips. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We are Lindsey Pierce and Christy Montour-Larson.
And if you got some laughs and some value out of this week's episode, could you do us a favor?
Hit that subscribe, like, or follow button wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Thank you so very much to Denise Gentilini for composing and performing the Upside Down Tulips theme song.
And if you want to hear more of her wonderful music, just go to denisegentilini.com, or you can find that link at upsidedowntulips.com.
And thanks to the many talents and very kind heart of Edith Weiss.
Edith! And thank you to our excellent yet enigmatic engineer.
So enigmatic. Join us in 2 weeks for another episode that will delight and amaze you.
And don't forget, Lindsey, if you make a mistake,
Your garden will forgive you.
Upside down.